Hey everybody, Glenn Hausman here with a special report just for you because you demanded it. I want to make sure everybody's getting equal sides in order to explain exactly what is going on with New Jersey legislation. So for today, I have with us the incredible Laura Lee Blake and Bharat Patel, both from AAHOA. So great to see you. And thanks so much for being here to fully explain how you see things when it comes to this piece of legislation. Laura Lee, let's start with you. Could you give us a quick history on what's going on here, please?
Yeah, so the bill was actually introduced a few years ago, but it became much more active this past year. On May 12th, I actually traveled to New Jersey. It was 4 days before I was starting in this position of President President CEO of AAHOA,
and I traveled. Be indoctrinated. right off the top. Please continue.
Yes, exactly. And so I traveled to New Jersey, testified in support of the bill, along with probably 30 or more of our members, and it passed out of the committee that day. It was the Assembly, Commerce, and Economic Committee. So it then moved on to the next committee, and that was the Assembly Commerce Committee. And meanwhile, before it got to the Assembly Commerce Committee, let me just share this with you too. Our immediate past chair, Neil Patel, we heard some controversy about this bill. And we took it to the board, and the board unanimously voted in support of amending the bill. And what we did is we amended it to take out all references to brand standards or to the guest experience.
Right.
We brought it back to the sponsor, Raj Mukherjee. He agreed with the amendments. And so when it went to the second committee, that's when these amendments then were heard. And our chair, Bharat, was there with, again, a whole crew of our leadership team in New Jersey to support this bill. It passed out of that committee as well. It then went to the full assembly, and it was voted in favor of this bill, 41-28 with 2 abstentions. So now, just as a quick wrap up on that, it's now before the Senate. The Senate is coming out of the summer break. It will be going to one Senate committee, and then the anticipation is if it passes out of that Senate committee, it will then go to the full Senate for a vote.
So, Bharat, why is this issue important to you?
Well, Glenn, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure.
AAHOA, as chairman, I represent over 20,000 members that own over 30,000 hotels. It's important to our membership because in New Jersey, there's an opportunity here with this legislation. We're basically supporting 4 core principles, right? We're trying to balance, our partnership with our brands, and that's really why it's important to our membership. As of late, you can see, even my own children are asking, is this an industry that I want to go into, right? And I want to make sure that our industry is something that lots of people want to join across the board.
Right. What the feeling that I'm getting, based on all of the feedback I've been getting on this issue, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the split is occurring here between what AHLA's positioning is and what AAHOA's positioning is. Based on, from what I'm hearing from AAHOA members, is that there's really a dividing line between what franchisees are seeking, the big giant franchisor companies, versus what individual independent hotel owners are seeking. And that's kind of causing the issues there. Laura Lee, am I factually correct on that?
Well, and let me just explain, and this is perfect timing for this podcast because the October issue of today's Hotelier, AAHOA's magazine, is coming out. And in it, we did a whole rundown of what's in the New Jersey bill. And interestingly enough, there's been a lot of allegations that there's 4 main problems with the New Jersey bill. Well, with these amendments, these 4 main problems no longer exist. So we put into this article everything about what's actually in the bill and why it's fair. We also included a link to the red line version of the bill so that everyone can read for themselves what's in the bill and what has been amended and what has been taken out by AAHOA. And so I think the divide is there's been some miscommunications, maybe some misunderstandings, but we really do not believe there should be a divide. Our members, once they're educated and they see actually what's in the bill, they're 100% in support of us. And I think you have seen that. You've seen the passion of our members to get this passed.
I have definitely seen the passion. Bharat, what has been changed in the bill? You don't have to go through it all, but give us a sense as to why you moved it in that direction with the changes that were made.
Right. So, look, I would obviously encourage them to read the actual bill. And there's four main things, if I can just say this real quick, that we stand for, right? It's the four main issues, the pillars that we talk about are really the new fees, the mandated vendors, the rebates and commissions, and the loyalty programs, right? And so when it comes to this core legislation, it's not impacting the guest experience. And that's what I want to be key on. This is, what we talk about when it comes to brand relationships.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for that. Laura Lee, I'll give you the final word. What message do you want people to take away from our conversation today?
Well, and let me just clarify, I think, two miscommunications as to what's in this bill. We hear a lot that it's going to impact brand standards. As mentioned, we amended it to take out anything having to do with brand standards. We also are hearing that it will impact the guest loyalty points and the programs, and that guests will no longer have access to their loyalty points. That is not true. The only thing that this bill says is that if a franchisor sells their loyalty points, then they have to reasonably reimburse the hotel owner either their highest average rate for that day or the value of the points, whichever is less. Now, let me just explain very quickly why that came up. We saw during COVID, and you can Google this, Hilton sold their loyalty points for $1 billion to American Express. Marriott did the same thing, $920 million to American Express and JP Morgan. So you can imagine now all these traveling guests are out there and they're going to be staying at the members' hotels, at our members' hotels, and getting very little in compensation. So the idea is that if they're going to be selling these loyalty points, making $1 billion or $920 million, they should reasonably compensate the members, the hotel owners these days. It has nothing otherwise to do with the loyalty points.
That's interesting because what you're speaking to specifically there is, in my opinion, an issue that I've seen come up at a lot of annual conferences, for example, that when loyalty points are cashed in, a lot of hoteliers aren't necessarily in agreements that it's a fair value for what they think it is, particularly in destinations where people love to go on vacation. So I understand that a lot more clearly now, and hopefully everybody out there in the industry is going to be able to understand it a lot more clearly. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you folks out there for giving us the opportunity to share equally both sides of this particular argument. I hope to speak to some owners on this as well and get some of their opinions while I'm out on the road. But it's important to you to have great positive feedback, not just being for something, but positively participating in this academic, in this exercise right now, so we could all be more successful hoteliers together. I'm Glenn Hausman. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't write too many nasty things down there below. We'll see you guys later. Bye.